Thanks for clicking. What's up, guys? I'm Glyphix, and my number one tip for being a new DM is do not prep too much. And I will tell you why. So a bit of backstory. I've DM'd a fair amount. We're a pretty casual group, to be fair, but we meet pretty regularly, and I've been doing it, a few years now. And the thing that always messed me up at the start was focusing too much on trying to get the rules down, focusing too much on planning out every little thing. But some of the best sessions that I've done have been where my plan is literally as loose as 3 lines on a piece of paper. I'm not even exaggerating. Like, I remember a session once, I literally had scribbled 3 lines, like, we're going to go here, we're going to meet him, we're going to do that. And then I just let the rest come together. Now, it takes a certain amount of practice and kind of skill to be able to react to the situations. But the point of doing this is so that you allow players the freedom to do whatever they want. The whole point, the whole benefit of D&D is that it's not a video game where everything is set and you have to go here and here. It's that you can do literally anything. And that is what's so cool about D&D. So by over-prepping, all you're doing is locking the players down into a certain way of doing things. And they don't want to do that. Invariably, they will completely go off track, do their own thing, completely mess up your whole planned story, and you end up in real trouble. By actually under-preparing, and when I say under-preparing, I'll get to exactly what I mean. I don't mean to under-prepare, but I mean don't focus too much on the details. You should know the overarching, goal. You should be hinting at what the players should be doing. Maybe, you've got a quest that's very obvious, got a point A, a point B, and all that. But for the little details, it's important not to worry too much about how it's going to get solved. For example, I once did a puzzle with a mirror on the wall where, evil versions come out and attack the players. I did not know how they were going to solve this. All I said was to myself, okay, mirror, bad guys come out of it, go into it, a bad guy comes out. I don't know how they're going to solve it, and I don't want to know. By coming up with ideas of how it should be solved, again, you're locking the players down and the characters down to thinking in your own mode of thinking. And you've got your own ideas, fine, they may be great, but the characters in the story maybe don't think like that. Maybe one just wants to smash the thing. Maybe one wants to put a rope through it. Maybe one wants to just kill all the enemies as they come out. Whatever the solution is, it doesn't matter. What you've got to do is allow that space for the creativity of the players. This kind of brings me to my next point about the rules. Now, I have not read the rulebook. I know very few of the rules. It helps that someone, Max, in our sessions is very, very knowledgeable on the rules, and we can turn to him for questions and things. But on the whole, the rulebook isn't a rulebook, it's a guidebook. And what often happens with new DMs is that they take a look at this thing and are just completely overwhelmed with the amount of rules. There are tons. There's tons of things to know. You could be going all out and be doing exhaustion systems and be doing, inventory management systems and all kinds of things. There is so much in there, but got to remember, it's not a rule book, it's a guidebook. It's a supporting feature to add some structure around the world that you're creating. Do not be afraid to throw out the rules if they don't equal fun. I all the time will just go, yeah, you know what, that stat's actually not that. You know what, I'm just going to let this happen. I'm just going to do this or whatever. Go against the rules completely because it will be more fun. You shouldn't aim to play in accordance with the rules. You should play in accordance with what is fun. So this now brings me to a big downside of some of the larger stories and books that D&D have. So for example, a recent one, Tomb of Annihilation, is really, really detailed, long campaign. And I actually have a lot of trouble running it because there is so much detail and there's so much to know and there's so much to read. So we'll go into a new area and I'm having to skim through, pages and pages of content to try and find the specific paragraph to describe what I'm seeing. When actually that doesn't really work for a DM style that is much looser and allows for much more flexibility. But that doesn't mean you can't use them. These books are really, really helpful for not having to come up with new stuff all the time, which can be very tiresome. So what I tend to do is I'll utilize the book, but inject my own sections and run things my own way and use it as inspiration almost. I'll say, okay, interesting. This is an interesting room. This is an interesting building. Who lives there? No, I don't like the snake people. I'm gonna have birds over here. Or there's a little bird village up in the north. That's actually kind of cool, but we're not up in the north, so I'm just gonna move that down there, and boom. Your players are here now. And that tends to work much, much better because it allows you to not have to rely so heavily on the books. But it is also partly why I tend to prefer running my own campaigns. And my own campaigns being, like I said, 5 lines, 3 lines on a piece of paper for section A, section B, section C, and then just running with it. Because you need to allow the players to do whatever they want. They should be able to do whatever they want. Now, there's certain things that you can plan which do add to it. So on the whole, not everyone, but on the whole, players really like getting loot, okay? Getting cool loot. It makes sense, obviously. So what I will tend to do is skim down a list of items, either from the book or from the internet or wherever, or just come up with them and just say, right, that one's cool, that one's cool, that one's cool. That one's overpowered, but it's cool, so I'm going to put it in, but I'm going to nerf it a little bit, half the damage or something like that. And then what you can do is you don't place them in the world. You don't say, right, there's loot here and loot here. You see what the players are doing, and if one decides, you know what, I'm gonna search this tree because I heard some birds rustling up there, and maybe one of them collected an interesting item in their nest. You go, hey, that's actually a pretty cool idea. You know what? You do find something in there. You've got to reward the exploration and creativity of the players, and by sticking too much to a fully planned out, fleshed out story, what you're going to do is tie them down. You're almost setting requirements, like you've got to do this, you've got to do that, not do your own thing, whatever you want. Again, remember, the beauty of D&D is that it is not a video game, it's a do anything game. Anyway, that's it from me. Let me know any questions. I really do want to hear about how people's first time DMing sessions go. It's really, really interesting to hear about. And if you want any ideas, I get them all the time. I'm often just recording myself doing weird voices and things for the next character I want to meet. Thank you all for watching. Remember to subscribe and hit that like.